Everybody for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me one quick favor, see that little black subscribe button on the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Really does help this channel grow, my audience grow, and I appreciate it more than you know. Also, quick thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet $50 on any game. Get up to $1,111 in free bets courtesy of the Betfred Sportsbook. Thank you again. Now, here's the video that you came here for. I do want to talk about something a little bit serious here on a Tuesday before the big Thursday night college football openers. Obviously, again, week one officially kicks off on Thursday. A couple big games, including a Big Ten opener with Nebraska visiting Minnesota. It goes without saying that is obviously the debut of Matt Rhule. Unfortunately for Matt Rhule, and unfortunately for Nebraska, there was a very serious story that emerged from Nebraska on Monday night into Tuesday, and I'd be remiss if I didn't address it. Certainly serious, certainly not fun, but certainly worth discussing. As Nebraska tight end, former five-star, former all-world kid, Arik Gilbert was arrested on Monday night, burglary, vandalism, and I'll just say, if you see the video, it appears as though his Nebraska career is certainly over, and this is now his technically fourth school in college football. I think it's safe to say that his college football career might be over as well. Really quickly, this kid has just an absolute wild backstory. So this kid, I mean, I don't think it's hyperbole to say, one of the more incredible high school careers ever. This kid was so good, he was the Georgia State Player of the Year as a tight end, okay? One of the highest rated tight ends in the history of the 24/7 sports recruiting database. Commits to LSU out of high school. How about this? Committed to LSU the year after they win the national championship with Joe Burrow. They lose a ton of guys, but he is a freshman, and he balls out as a freshman in his 1 year at LSU. Finishes that season with 30-plus catches, finishes that season with a couple touchdowns. Yet even after that year, and we know it's kind of a chaotic, weird year at LSU, ends up announcing he's going to transfer. So he decides to transfer after 2020. We all assume it's kind of a weird thing. It's COVID. Is he homesick? Is he not? Is he this? Is he that? Remember, that was just kind of a crazy situation altogether. But ends up entering the transfer portal, committing to Florida. And then even before he ever plays a game, never plays at Florida, ends up re-entering the portal and going to Georgia. He's at Georgia about the last year and a half, gets a little bit lost in the shuffle, doesn't play during the 2021 season, and then 2022 last year, surprise, surprise, he is a tight end, he's at Georgia, and unfortunately, he just kind of got caught in a numbers game. Was a kid who was obviously a backup to Brock Bowers. He was a backup to Darnell Washington, did play a very little bit with 2 catches a season ago, part of Georgia's second national championship team, but ultimately decides to leave. Then this offseason, he does end up at Nebraska. But again, you can tell that just following this story, there's something going on, maybe more than just football, right? First of all, as I said, fourth school for a 5-star guy with NFL talent, 30 catches as a freshman. But even going back to the spring, I thought Matt Rhule had some very interesting comments about him. Now, we all knew because he was a 2-time transfer, nobody really knew if he was going to be eligible to play this year. There has been a little bit of a movement on social media, free Arik Gilbert, get him eligible, Arik Gilbert, get him eligible to play this season. But even dating back to the spring, I thought Matt Rhule had some very interesting comments about him as a person. This is what Matt Rhule said about Arik Gilbert, again, former 5-star, elite player at LSU in the spring. When we took Arik, we said, listen, we're here to help you. This is a long-term play for you. If you're eligible, great. If you're not eligible, we'll help you. You'll play another year. Then if you want to play next year, great. I just want to help the kid. And so listen, I believe the kid, even in the spring was doing everything that was expected of him. But then, even after the incident on Monday night, Matt Rhule kind of referenced things had started to go sideways in fall camp. Things hadn't quite been the same. And as I said, Monday night happens. If you have not seen the video, it is jarring. I will link to it down in the show description. But ultimately, this kid breaks into a liquor store / vape shop. If you see the video, he basically takes a brick or something, a concrete something, throws it in, smashes something to go in. Then he kicks down another door, just basically grabs what he wants, turns the corner, and there's 5 cops there waiting for him. It's a jarring video. If you have not seen it, I do encourage you to find it on social media. It's scary. It's sad. And the only thing it really leads to, from my perspective, is a couple things. One, I don't think there's any doubt that his time at Nebraska is over. Again, Matt Rule really didn't have much to say about it on Tuesday morning when he addressed the media. He said, I came into work today. I got a call about Arik. We're really disappointed. We're really sad for him. He continued, when we took Arik in the transfer portal, we knew we had a good group of people that were going to help him through some of the issues he's been dealing with in his life. But to be honest, during camp, as I just said a minute ago, during camp, he's had some struggles. He's been working to overcome them. Then last night happened. From there, Rule said, I'm not prepared to speak about next steps. I've learned over the years not to jump to conclusions. Well, all I can say, first of all, I think that's the right thing for Matt Rule to say. I think you don't want to rush to judgment. I think you want to be patient. I think you want all the facts to present itself. But when this video comes out, it is going to be very jarring. And so for this kid, I don't know what's next, but I think it's almost certain that he will not play at Nebraska. And bluntly, I think it's hard not to imagine that his college career might not be over. Now, look, I know it's college football. I know somebody will give him a chance. Group of 5 level, FCS level, JUCO level, if he's even eligible to go to JUCO at this point. But that video is jarring, and it's shocking, and it's surreal. And it's certainly not something that Matt Rule wants to deal with in the lead up to his season opener in just a couple days at Minnesota. Listen, from my perspective, as somebody who's, kind of my job is to kind of commentate on stuff like this, I'm not going to speculate too much. One, I will say, it's clear that based on the background, there are probably some mental health issues that he's dealt with, even dating back to maybe the LSU days. But at the same time, I've said it often. My wife works in the mental health space. There's a lot of people in my life that work in mental health. Mental health is not something that you're allowed to use when you have an incident like this. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I don't know what's next. I assume his career at Nebraska is done. I assume Matt Rule will probably not talk about this again until after the Minnesota game. I don't know if I'm not enough of a legal expert to know what it means for the state of Nebraska, but unacceptable behavior, but you still feel bad for the kid in some way, shape, or form, or maybe I just do. I can't speak for everybody else, but I look at that kid. I see a kid that has so much potential, so much opportunity. If you pull up his high school highlights, his LSU highlights, whatever, unbelievable talent. But clearly there's stuff going on off the field. Clearly there's stuff going on when he's away from the facility. That goes without saying if you saw that video, and it'll be fascinating to see what's next. But as I said, I can't imagine he plays at Nebraska again, and I wouldn't be totally shocked if there's no place for him in college football going forward.